You are listening to the Level Up Your Gaming podcast, episode 10. You probably shouldn't do that. Today we talk about 9 things we think are unforgivable sins in games, and things you should avoid doing. We come at this from a place of experience in doing all of these and seeing them all fail in our games. We even throw in a bonus 10th item somewhere in the middle of the podcast. It's quite a spirited episode as we go through these, and we hope that you enjoy the banter. If you'd like to participate in the discussion or leave us feedback, you can contact us at levelupyourgamingpodcast@gmail.com. Also, if you like the show, please subscribe, leave us a review, or tell a friend. Now sit back and enjoy the episode. Welcome into the Level Up Your Gaming podcast. This is episode 10. Across from me is the man. He's got lots of suggestions on what you shouldn't be doing. Jared.
Hey, everyone.
And my name's Aaron, because I don't think I actually hit on that here. I promise these intros will be a little bit more consistent going forward.
They're consistent enough.
Consistent
I'm
enough.
very happy with the consistency.
Consistently inconsistent.
Exactly. Chaotic.
If you would like to get a hold of us, give us some feedback on the episode, tell us about some topics you maybe would like to hear, you can get to us at levelupyourgamingpodcast@gmail.com. And if you do like the podcast, tell a friend about it. Subscribe, write a review, keep listening. If you listen to the last episode, we had a serious audio flaw. We're not going to dive back into that here, but we've cleaned it up. It's working great now. Everyone's happy. No one's going to remember about the terrible audio flaw, except for the people who have to go back and listen to the first 3 episodes, because those are good episodes. They've got good content in them.
Great content.
And you should listen to them, because we're not...
Who listens to a podcast for the audio? Like, oh man, this is kind of tinny. So I'm gonna stop. Like, it's the content.
Okay. Well, you should listen to them for the content. Fight through the tinniness. Listen to the content, because the content's good.
I may sound like I'm going away.
How are you doing tonight, Jared?
Not bad. You?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Can't complain. Again.
Can't complain. Life is
well,
good.
Again, you don't hear us complaining. We complain before we get on the podcast.
Yeah, that's, and it's funny because you're always like, Jared, continue your bitching, and I'm like, oh, I want to continue my bitching, because then I'm bitching. But there's always something to bitch about.
There's
right?
always something to bitch about. But
my car's running great. See, I'm going to talk about something positive for the week. My car is running fantastic.
The weather's starting to warm up around here.
Thank God. Like, it's funny. I'm built for the cold. We all remember Jared's winter game back before he was married. Jared would always get his dates in the winter. Man,
Yeah.
I would just run the table during the winter. It's the beard.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Well, you've got the look.
I've got the look. Like, I'm built for winter, but it's funny as I get older, man, I'm just like summer, just a little bit. And like the more times that they send me out of state to tropical climates,
You're like, yes, I'll do that.
like, this isn't so bad this time around.
Just to have something more temperate than here. I mean, this is like, I don't know. It's what you get for living in the Midwest and the North. So
The North.
King of
We
the
are-
North.
We are Northmen.
But
I think the people in like Wisconsin, Minnesota are all going to laugh at us, be like, you're not North.
We're like, you're not North, but they feel the same sort of pain we do. So
They
I
do.
guess it all balances out.
We feel for you, Minnesota. We
do.
we feel the better winters.
But today's topic is the
I'm
general.
sorry. We are one house, Minnesota. We are the North. We need to unite our houses. Okay.
Call the banners.
Call the banners. Okay, I'm done now.
Today's episode is the general should nots, or you really shouldn't do that. We're gonna give you about 9 of them here. It's almost like the 10 Commandments, but it's not really.
We're not chiseling them into stone. We're not breaking them once and then having them rebuilt by God.
So yeah, not really. But
Do you imagine that if God was like, did you really shatter those? That took me like an afternoon.
really, I worked all day on that.
Jesus Christ. Jesus, like what?
But,
Okay, I'm sorry. That was totally off topic.
So we're gonna talk about 9 of them. Maybe we'll give you a bonus 10th one. Depends on how we're feeling at the end of this.
Bonus 10th one.
Yeah,
Make it
bonus
sound like a
10th one.
surprise.
And really the thing here is these are are things that you probably shouldn't do. Okay, if you feel like these are things that you just love doing, your players just get all giddy about them, then go for it.
Knock yourself out.
Knock yourself out.
These
But these are 9 things, not 10 things, nine things that we definitely think that you should not do in your games.
And the fun part about this is that you guys get this not because we're extraordinary or anything like that. It's because we've committed all of these, and we're like, oh man, I would never do that again.
We've committed these gravest errors.
Horrible
they're
sins.
Bad. They just never go well.
We're bad men, and we should feel bad.
So we're gonna go right into it here.
Dive.
The first one.
Dive.
You should not retcon in your game.
Please, God, don't.
Why not, Jared? Why should you
because
retcon?
First off, it completely shatters the suspension of disbelief. If anyone did anything cool in that scene, and I mean anything cool, suddenly it's gone. And retcon, if you don't understand the term retcon, it was all a dream. Or we're just going to ignore everything that we did last week and continue on. Do not do that. It makes every success completely nullified. It makes the lessons learned completely unlearned. For example, if you have a situation, let's say, let's use sci-fi right now. Okay. The rebels went ahead and your rebel squadron took on a Star Destroyer. Just, like 5 X-Wings took on a whole freaking Star Destroyer. They got captured and now they're in Imperial jail, and you're like, well, I'm just going to retcon that because it was a bad idea. No, let them sit in Imperial jail. Let them break out.
There's nothing you cannot do as a GM to undo what you had done in the previous game by just going forward.
And using creativity.
Yes.
Retcon is just so simple, and it's just rewind button, erase. Yeah. No.
Retcon is that didn't work out. I have to completely change this whole scene. Okay? The jury cannot forget.
The jury can't forget. That is a complete flaw. The jury is instructed to disregard. What? Are you kidding me? I'm locking that down because you just said to disregard it. We're trained as human beings, as animals. Be like, oh, you made a point of that. I'm going to do the exact opposite.
Yes. Now, the only little thing. Now, what I'm saying is, if you need to change a detail, like a date, go for it.
Go for it. Knock yourself out. Because I screw up dates all the time.
Yeah, suspension of disbelief is not lost in that moment. Okay, but if you're like, oh my God, you ended up going down this path, and I can't have you go down that path right now. So, we're just gonna back you up a time 12 hours, and we're just gonna erase that all happened, and we're gonna restart the whole thing.
It's infuriating as a player. It's retcon just makes me want to vomit.
Don't change the details of how it happened, so it makes sense.
Let it go.
Just let it go.
Let it fly.
Okay,
let your freak flag fly.
Your players are going to get into bad situations. Okay?
all the time.
Okay, you better learn how to get them out of the bad situations more than you have to learn how to undo those situations.
One of my favorite situations where I was doing a one-on-one game with Brian. It was the Technocracy game. So if you don't know what Technocracy are, they're like in White Wolf. They're like the supernatural hunters that are technologically advanced, and that's a very simple explanation of it. But oh my God, he did something wrong, and he had to break out of jail, or not out of jail, but out of police custody himself. Ended up stealing a police car and creating a huge police chase. Should I have retconned that? Absolutely not, because the adventure that we eventually went on was just amazing. It was amazing, and it can make amazing moments. And let's take our Starfighter example, our X-Wing. They're in prison. Let them escape. Why? Because that is a story that they will tell their grandchildren one day. This is how I broke out of Imperial jail. If it needs to be erased, nah, man. All of our greatest stories generally have some sort of idiocy involved in them. Even people who don't game. This one time at a bar, and I know it's something that's going to be bad. Like when they start that story, like, oh, what did you do?
Everybody's got that story, so don't retcon. The jury cannot forget. Do not forget that line. The jury cannot forget.
Not ever.
But anyways, we're gonna move on here off of retcons. We could probably do a whole game on retcon.
I could just
the infuriating,
just quote bitching about it. Yes, I could do that.
The infuriating nature of it. But we're going on to number 2 here, and that is actively trying to kill your players.
I had to deal with a storyteller that just loved just gacking, just murking players. He just loved it, and like, I'm someone like I want, even though I'm a terrible player, and I know I am. Like I can confess that to myself and to our listeners. God bless you all. He tried every means, and like I want my character story to be complete. I don't want to be like taken out by like a 2-bit thug, you know, like, and that's how this story ended. Like, God, no, but we'll.
And GMs get into this so easily. You throw in you just throw some villain or some monster in front of your players that is just way too strong, and you're just like, well, you guys should have been more prepared. No, you shouldn't have done that.
How about you make the game, I don't know, playable?
How about you make the game playable? It's not fun to go into a game as a player. I'll say this from my experience, okay, because I've been in other games. I've also done it as a GM in other games.
I think I've done it at least once or twice.
It's not fun to go into a game where you're already behind the 8 ball against whatever you're fighting, and like your GM's win condition for them is to kill you all off and be like, ha ha ha, you failed. Okay, if you like the morbid game that kind of ends with the bleak view of humanity,
get rid of that now. If you're, oh God, don't go down that dark road. If you're having a hard time in your life, you know, my wife's a mental health therapist. Go see one of them. Do not impress.
Do not take it out on your players.
Don't. If you, and trust me, if you're doing this in your game, like, I love murking my players, and you think it's just so much fun, have an open, honest conversation with your players and ask them how they feel about it. You're going to be shocked at the reactions.
They're going to be like, we hate this shit.
We're all kind of starting a new party actually on Wednesday nights, and we didn't tell you about it. Like that kind of reaction, like, oh my God. You are, hold the blowback.
All right.
What's number 3?
Number 3, the unkillable villain.
The unkillable villain.
This goes into power scaling here, but this is when you start making.
You don't love a villain that you in a video game that you can't kill.
We've got a.
Wasn't that a great technique in Resident Evil? I loved that part of the gameplay.
What do you? I mean, sorry, that works great in a video game.
Actually, I was being extremely sarcastic.
I mean, it actually does work in a video game because guess what? Okay, there's a time limit and the villain leaves. But you know how unsatisfying it is if you've got the villain in your crosshairs and you just like don't let the players kill it.
Oh my God, I had this situation. I freaking. It was at LARP, and I was dealing with another storyteller, and this guy was probably one of the worst storytellers ever. He had the villain that he loved. He loved his villain. Oh, he loved his villain. A little bit too much. I went ahead and did scenes with other assistant storytellers and gathered up just an ungodly weapon. Like I pretty much got a sniper rifle that fired faster than the speed of sound and hit with like megatons of force, and I got it forged, the bullet forged in silver, had the guy in my crosshairs, even planned out, like got him to the meeting place and took the shot, and he was like, well, he just vanishes in front of you. I don't think I went back after that. I was like, I'm done with LARPing.
It's terrible. It's like, again, see building a better villain, okay? Go listen to that podcast because this is all about how to make your villain not unkillable, but, you know, make them smarter.
If you put all your poker chips on one villain, you've got a problem.
Yes.
Okay, and you can't have that villain die. No, get rid of that villain. Find a secondary. Who's his disciple?
If your villain can't be killed by any normal means or within the power set of the character or can't be defeated by the characters, what's the point of that villain? What's the point of the hero's journey at that point? Like, it just isn't there.
And if your mind right now is going, well, it's the hero's journey to beat the villain. No, the hero's journey is about self-transformation. I don't know why.
We're
I
gonna
did the.
do
whole,
a podcast on heroes and villains, and we'll get into the hero.
I see your eyes looking at me because that inflection was weird. I'll admit it.
Well, yeah, it was weird, but
Transformation.
It sounds like the Imagination song from South Park.
Imagination.
No, didn't it go higher the other way? But no, you don't want to have a villain that's unkillable. Again, this kind of goes back to the you don't want to just kill your players because you don't want to have this bleak outlook where your players just can't win. Okay, it's not fun if you can't win in a game. It just isn't.
No.
Okay,
I don't want to play.
Should it be challenging? Yes. You want to have a really hard villain to kill? Go for it. But if your players come up with an awesome plan and they kill your villain, you know what? Give them $20 and shake their hand.
Yeah,
okay?
like, well done.
Well done. I didn't expect that. Okay.
Open up your wallet. Here you go. There's $20. Now get out of my face.
All right.
We spend a ton of time laughing in this episode. I love this episode. This is probably one of my faves now.
All right. And we're going to move on to number 4. Okay. And that is don't force out of game tasks.
Oh my God. So dealt with this a lot in LARP. I have dealt with this on tabletop. It's where like a storyteller will look at you and say like, all right, if you want to complete this ritual, bring 3 eggs. Like, are you kidding me, man? I got to go to my house. I got to make sure that I keep eggs refrigerated. I got to remember to freaking bring. I have a horrible memory. I have a terrible memory. Like, honestly, I'm not worried about Alzheimer's because I already have it. Okay? Like, I forget where I live sometimes. And I've lived here for 3 years. But having players complete off tasks, it's infuriating. I brought up, was it last week?
Yeah.
The Bard?
The Bard, yes.
Was that last week?
Yep.
Oh my God. Have me write a song? I don't have a musical bone in my body. Christ almighty. I can't play an instrument to save my life. People throw money at my instrument case for me not to play an instrument.
Exactly.
If I was, on the street begging.
And listen, the other thing to this is like the opposite side of this. Let's say you have a player who is musically talented. Okay, if they perform the frickin' song in front of you, just give it to them.
Just give it.
Okay, just give it to them.
Throw them the $20.
Throw them the $20. Go. That was very impressive, and yes, it did charm the pants.
It charmed the pants off that princess. Or I'm sorry, we're going more sci-fi. Well, you can have princess in sci-fi. Like Alderaan has a princess.
Yes.
Princess Leia.
Uh-huh.
Royal family.
Yeah. Okay.
On to number 5.
We're moving on to number 5 here. And that is the McGuffin.
Oh, the McGuffin. If you have a single key to unlock a single door, or a path that the players must take to win the day, you're going wrong. The players do not think like you do, and we've discussed this many a time. They need to have multiple ways to win the war. You can't have it as a single way, because here's the thing. They're going to forget the MacGuffin. They're going to lose it. They're not going to get it. They're going to follow off course, and then you're going to start correcting them. And now it's not a battle between the players and the challenge. It's a battle between you and your players. The MacGuffins are terrible because, you don't have a Vorpal blade. You can't destroy this. Like,
exactly. I mean, the MacGuffin.
Sorry, I left that in my other pants.
The MacGuffin is a great literary tool. It sounds really cool. I think
fantastic when you control all elements.
Yeah, in high fantasy novels when you know how the story is going to play out. But again, just like Jared said, your players don't know how you think.
They don't. Okay? And you don't. Unfortunately, you don't have like Gandalf being the narrator. Who's going to tell them in the background, like, little did the hobbits know that this ring would be vitally important. No, your players are humans. They're going to be like, who needs this freaking ring? Ding, ding, ding.
They're probably never going to go down the path to get the damn ring.
No, they're going to be like, that path looks dangerous, and I don't feel like dangerous right now. I feel like going to a tavern.
Or we've assessed our threat in the villain, and we're trying to figure out how to take care of the villain. We're not going to go do that. And you're like, But they said, the wizard told you have to go down that path. And they'll be like, nah, screw that, homie. We're doing this other thing.
And especially when you got physics involved. Like, and we've had this discussion, I think, numerous times. Like, oh man, somebody required us to use a Volpo blade or something like that. I don't know, but I know we've had this conversation. It's like, you know what? I got a Barrett 50 caliper. All right, you know what that punches holes through? 1/4-inch steel. I don't need no Vorpal blade. Oh my gosh, I'm getting very passionate about this.
Yes.
I don't need no Vorpal blade.
I don't need no Vorpal blade, motherfucker.
Do you see the size of this bullet? It'll punch holes in small tanks.
I gave you in the one game that I did. I put a McGuffin in that game. Oh my god, I could have disengaged Jared faster than putting that McGuffin in that game. It was the game where you're all playing the werewolves and the Cairn. It was the kind of the sequel to the I did it after the events of Elders. Yeah, and you were so mad because I had you do like this like test and trial where you couldn't kill the thing, and so I violated two terrible rules.
Right there.
Two terrible rules. I had him do a test where he couldn't beat the guy, okay, and you were just like a light switch, like just like I fucking hate this game.
Click. Mic drop, bitches. I'm out.
You were done. You were like, I'm going home. I don't care.
But then again, I'm also a terrible player, so don't take my word for it.
and then there was a McGuffin that came up out of that, and I violated 3. I actively couldn't. I made the villain unbeatable essentially at the end of it too, and so I forced you guys into the loss situation where you all lost. Yeah. So it was really bad. Like, it was a really bad game. I look back on it, I'm like, that was such a bad game.
Don't worry about it. I got like a list of 900 bad games, which comes up to number 6 now.
Yeah, we're on number 6.
Let's do endings. let's talk about Jared and his
No, we're gonna get to endings later.
No,
first,
come on.
No. Don't create party conflict.
Okay, I had a storyteller. He was a friend for many years. He and I have since just grown apart, and probably for the better. He loved creating party conflict.
He loved creating chaos.
He loved it. Like, ate it up. You got to play under him, I think, once or twice.
Oh yeah. Oh, I played under his game, and it lasted 2 sessions after I got there. And I didn't he did a terrible job bringing us together.
Oh God!
Listen to the Gathering, learn how to do that better. Okay, and
Jared, was it the Star Wars one where he was like,
no,
hire her? I'm like, I've got a stick of gum.
We were in space, and I was playing. I think we're all aberrants in space, and yeah, I mean you're playing Iron Man or some version of Iron Man.
Because I always play the Iron Batman.
Yes,
that is my ultimate. I want to play it's either military or it's Iron Batman.
Yes, and then because everyone was playing like the standard heroes characters. We had a Peter Petrelli, we had Dave was playing that, and and then so they brought me in, and none of the characters were like, hey, you should join us, and the GM was just like,
they seem to not like you. You have been voted off the island.
The worst thing, though, is the GM was playing a character in the group. Okay, so that's gonna be number 10.
Number 10. Do not play a character in your own story.
Do not play a character in your own story and then hand off the story to someone else. Okay, God. Number 10. That does not work. If you want to play a character, let somebody else GM.
Yeah, let somebody else GM. Like, just hang up your hat. Kick your feet back. Be a player for a little bit. But back to number 6.
Yes. With
creating conflict. If you find your players killing each other or screaming in character or out of character to be an enjoyable thing to watch, you need to throw in the towel.
Yeah, we learned long ago too that we don't do PvP between the players.
We don't.
Okay, it is a very messy game because essentially you have to then side with somebody.
Yeah.
And you're essentially kicking your other friend or player to the curb and saying that it didn't work out. And the other thing too is that if there are plans and other things involved in that, and you've created this conflict between the characters, you have to say that one of these plans is going to work.
Yeah.
Okay. And you have to be able to justify when you say this plan is going to work why the other person's plan isn't going to work.
And do not, work. Do just don't encourage it. Don't, smash it if you can. Like
PvP is no fun. If you want a PvP, just put them into combat and let them fight it out.
Yeah, there you go.
Let
them roll against each other.
Let the dice roll it out. Don't do like this cunning versus cunning thing. Don't try to make players do this whole thing.
Liquidate by a gun.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. It's just not a good concept. Player conflict is terrible.
It's awful. All right, what's our next one?
All right, we're moving on to number 7, and that is characters are not the center of your story.
Oh man, it's a fallacy to be like you're protecting, this group that is so important, or this NPC who's so important, because it's just if your characters are not the focal point, are not the most key and critical point of the story, then they're not having fun. They're not.
Again, our podcast is all about having fun. Okay, Leveling Up Your Gaming podcast is about leveling up the fun in your games.
Actually, we should do a logo with balloons. Balloons are fun.
I like our logo.
I love our logo too. But like balloons, they're fun. Don't judge me. He's judging me right now, ladies and gentlemen. He is judging me.
So hard.
But having a brain fart, just that is just.
But when characters are not the center of your game, no one's having fun.
No one's having fun because who like that's like okay. So I'm gonna tell you a story about the third baseman of the New York Yankees, not the star hitter, but the third baseman. Like, who wants to be the third fucking baseman?
That makes a great documentary, I guess. But
fantastic.
I'm not here to play the documentary. I'm also not here to watch epic moments unfold.
Oh my God.
For a bunch of people who are not me.
If you were having an epic moment and your players are not the
very
center, the very center of that epic moment, you have lost that epic moment. If it's like they watch Susie get enveloped in a radiant light and take care of all the villains, like, thanks, that was awesome. Woo! Because I've done that. Oh, did I do that?
Oh, if you watch your players mow down a couple puds to get them to the blade, and they pull it out, and then they destroy the unkillable villain that you had prior to that. Oh, I'd throw my sheet on the floor. I'd be like, God damn it, Darren, I'm out of here. I've had enough of this fly by night game.
Yeah, if they are not the solution to the problem, you have a problem.
Exactly. They are the ones who have to succeed at the end of your game. Otherwise, the game is basically just not fun.
And I'm not saying that they can't you can't pull off a bodyguard moment, like the movie with Kevin Costner. But that was only good because you had Tina Turner singing. And
you can have important moments where they protect important people,
but it can't be your story.
But that can't be your story. Like if they save the president, cool,
like very cool.
Okay, we can make Air Force One again. That's a cool movie. It's
a great movie. But look at that one. Who was the lead role? Who was the focal point? It wasn't the Secret Service, I'll tell you that much. It was Harrison Ford.
Exactly.
He was both the president and the president's bodyguard.
Exactly.
He was awesome. I love that movie.
And so now we're going to move on to number 8. And that is useless details in a game.
They slow you down so much. If you are going into what color the paint is on the walls, okay. All right, I should say this one is there's moderation. Moderation. Some details just welcome you in. If you were using sensory to open up your players to an environment, fantastic. They walk in, it smells like warm bread. Oh, the smell of baking bread. But if you go into what kind of bread, if I know what the hell, Jared, it's pumpernickel with a dash of cinnamon.
It's pumpernickel, and here's the recipe for the pumpernickel.
And you clearly they used a butter and instead of baking soda to I don't know, Aaron, you actually bake bread, so
Yes, they're using they use an active dry yeast instead of instant yeast. And, it's just waters you. He's got a special method developed by his grandma. Let me tell you the recipe right now. Okay, so you're gonna take 800 grams of stone ground wheat flour. Okay, okay. If that's what you get into, just go home.
Just stop.
Just stop.
Like, and I can like, for example, I can go into fine detail about guns.
I don't care about the minutia about how the corned beef was made. I just ordered.
I don't need to know the life story of the pig that died. Well, it's beef, so the cow that died for my corned beef. I don't need to know that he grazed only on the finest of grass or hay. I don't need to know that.
I know. None of us need to.
You lost me at it was savory. I don't even want to know that about fucking lunch. I don't want to know. I ate lunch. My character is satisfied and will not suffer the effects of not eating.
Good detail. What do you want for lunch? I'll have a burger. I'll have a salad. I'll have this. Okay? When he comes back, you got any recommendations? Oh yeah, no, we got the pastrami back there. I've been marinating it for 8 hours, and I handcrafted.
It's useless details got to go because, like, I mean, like, I could be like, it's a 12 gauge pump action shotgun, walnut stock, finely engraved.
Exactly. You're in a forest. Okay, well, what kind of trees are these? Well, are these cruciferous or are these not cruciferous? Oh, well, these are the finest trees. They're made of leather and jewels, and
especially when engaging in fantasy or sci-fi materials, it's created of pure dilithium. What's dilithium?
I'd like to buy a car. Okay, well, tell me about the car. Well, this is the Porsche 200. It's got the finest. Like, I don't need you to be a car salesman.
You're not actually selling a car.
Yes,
you're giving your players the getaway vehicle. I don't know, but like, don't. It's red. It's very fast. It's a luxury vehicle. Now, if you're doing it for a point, again, the open breeze of the plains hits your face, and because you're attempting to establish that they are free after, I don't know, escaping a prison.
Those are not useless details, though. Those are
setting
descriptors to add to the atmosphere.
Yep, not the Porsche is cow leather rather than I don't know if there's any other kind of leather.
It's not like if I have my NPC bring you somewhere and then he starts singing a hymn like,
do not sing me
the hills of the hills, and like I spend 3 minutes singing you this stupid song.
Don't unless like, oh my God, 3 months later they're like, oh my God, it was in the song. It was in the song. Our journey was the song. Like, okay, that would be an awesome fucking moment. You can pull that shit off. Props to you.
Have at it.
But no, in that moment, your players are bored.
Oh, they're so mad at you.
They're just like, holy shit, he's really singing. He's really singing. I've done that. And
we're going to get to here, number 9. We gave you 10. It was a bonus. If you got to go backwards in time to listen to number 10. This is going to be timey weird. Number 9 is endings are needed.
Endings are, well, I thought this was a should not list, so don't just drop your game.
Yes, don't just drop your game.
Let's say that your game, storyteller fatigue is something that I'm very aware of. I get just tired, run out.
There's player fatigue and there's storyteller fatigue. Regardless of which one you end up running into,
you need an ending.
You need an ending to your game.
Like, if you just end it, trust me, deep down, you will resent it. Your players will resent it because it's just like, and this brings it full circle, it's just like retconning. None of it really happened because there wasn't closure. There wasn't anything to it.
Exactly. It's literally just like retconning. You absolutely need to end your games. You have to see through to the end of a game. Even if the fatigue happens, do 20 minutes, end the game. All the players go home. Okay? That's an end. Okay, it's not a great ending.
It's not great, but it's an ending.
But it's an ending. It gives closure to the game.
It does, and like you can do a very short ending. If it's very sudden, tell your players over the week. Tell them we're going to end the game. I'm going to do a short ending next week, and then we're going to move into somebody else's game, or we're going to have that pre-game discussion, that session 0, whatever you want to do. But you got to end it. If you don't, like, It's just like if this podcast just clicked off.
We got it.
That joke, believe it or not, was not planned. But Aaron knew what I was laying down. He was like, do it. So bad. I feel bad for all of our listeners. I'm sorry.
This has been a very spirited episode.
This has been a very spirited episode. This is one of my faves now. Like, just because I got to be so passionate about shit. Like, motherfuckers. But endings are vital. Even if it's a small, short, sweet ending, a simple paragraph, 20 minutes of your time to write an ending out. The players go home. They're welcomed by their community. They're hugged and cheered upon. Now, try to use more inflection than I'm using right now. Maybe a little bit of music in the background, but 20 or 30 minutes of your time will make for a better ending than just being like, guys, I'm kind of done with this game. And how do I know this? Because I have done this to my players like 800 times. I was so bad at it in the past. Like, really
we would
bad.
just play a game and we'd be like, oh, okay, we're tired of it. And we would just stop playing.
Yeah.
And there's so many games where, like, I really liked my character. I really liked what we were doing. I liked a lot of stuff about it. And it just never went anywhere else. Even if you're going to say, I'm going to discontinue the game for the time being, I'm going to pick it back up, give it, like, that end of the book type of thing.
Yeah. With
a cliffhanger. It could have a cliffhanger for a second part.
And if it's Game of Thrones, somebody dies.
Exactly.
I mean, that's a cliffhanger. Bam, somebody's dead.
Exactly.
I was bringing it back around again. That's why you're judging me right now. I see your judging eyes. Our audience might not be able to see it, but I can. So much judgment.
But you want to talk about any other should nots here?
Actually, I feel very content with the amount of passion that I threw into this episode.
There was a lot of passion in this episode.
We're glad.
We hope that you as listeners feel just as passionate about these sorts of things. Tell us your general should nots. Tell us your things that you wouldn't do. Contact us at levelupyourgamingpodcast@gmail.com. Tell a friend about this podcast, write a review, subscribe to the podcast, do whatever you can to kind of spread the podcast around. That always helps us out. And for Jared, I'm Aaron. Have a good night, guys.
Have a good week.